I remember walking into my dining room to say goodnight to my parents one evening in high school. They were huddled over my aunt's nursing exam books, helping her study for her placement exam. Now, this exam was a huge deal because if she passed, my aunt would then get her nursing certification, which would help her be able to get a job and to afford to save up to bring her 6 children and husband from the Congo to the US to escape civic unrest. My parents poured hours into making sure that she understood US test structures. And great news, she passed, and her family has been in the United States for over 10 years. Now, I know most of you are thinking, that's amazing, is this the fastest TED Talk we've ever seen? But I share that because, yes, it is remarkable, but for me, that was just a regular Tuesday. As a first-generation American whose parents immigrated from absolute poverty in the Congo, this was a daily occurrence. My parents are an exquisite example of mentorship. They have this beautiful combination of tough love and compassion that motivates everyone around them to be the best possible versions of themselves. So you can imagine, after having a lifelong example of mentorship, my surprise when I entered corporate America. Actually, let's go there now. So let's fast forward to my early 20s, second corporate job ever. My background's in tech, which is predominantly male. I would see my male colleagues go out to beer or play golf with leadership and come back with these insider tips that were incredible. They would know which jobs were coming out in the next 4 to 6 months, what skills they needed to refine in order to be considered for them, and who else they should talk to within the company to build up their network of advocates in case they weren't in the room. So seeing that, I thought, yes, I need that too because I'm going places. To my surprise, however, when I would speak to the same leadership and go to coffee or lunch, the advice I received was to smile more, straighten my hair, buy a designer handbag, and wear high heels. And this is not a ploy for gasps, this is a real story. One of the highest paid partners in the company I was working for gave me that advice. Designer handbag and high heels. This is where I quickly learned about a problem in corporate America that is oftentimes talked about behind closed doors. Navigating the old boys club in corporate America is a game of chess. And while men have been taught to play chess since they were basically in diapers, women have been told to smile and play checkers. Today I want to talk about 2 topics that I'm extremely passionate about: mentorship and workplace equity. But first, I want to share a pet peeve of mine. I'm CEO and founder of a tech company called The Mentor Method. We're in the mentorship and workplace inclusion space, and because of our innovative solution, I'm brought on as a keynote speaker or on various panels. Do them all the time. A few months ago, I was on a panel for women's leadership, and it was great. The energy was absolutely infectious, kind of like the room right now. Everybody was nodding, everybody understood. My fellow panelists and I are sharing statistics such as how, despite the fact that women make up 54% of the workforce, only 29% of us are in leadership positions, and only 2% of us are CEOs. The audience understands, and inevitably, someone raises their hand and asks us how we became leaders and influencers in the space. Nothing frustrates me more than when one of my fellow panelists responds with, I don't know, I just worked really hard and I followed my passions and $300,000 just came to me one day. I don't know. There is definitely a path from $30,000 to $300,000. However, it's not overnight. It takes a lot of hard work. And when people in a position of influence who have been able to achieve that don't share the how or the what that it took to get there, I find that tragic. I'm immediately brought back to being that 22-year-old receiving advice of buying a handbag with money I don't have, and just going to these women's events, praying for an ounce of experience from somebody else that can help me navigate my own career. Another pet peeve of mine is when speakers come up on stage like this, talk about a problem, and then get off the stage without giving you any sort of solution. So I want to leave you with 4 tangible takeaways that I hope you go out into the world to be examples of mentorship. The first is to be vulnerable. This one is hard, which is why I put it first. It's something that I'm actually working on with my own mentors still. But that's where the real transfer of knowledge and experience can happen. With my mentees, I share how, in a 5-year span, I went from being an entry-level graphic designer, scrounging for change in the back seat of my car just to get enough gas to go to work, to making 6 figures and leading teams for Fortune 500 companies. That took a lot of work and some very painful experiences. Do I like reliving those on a consistent basis? No. But I know that by going there, the young woman sitting across from me can now learn how to navigate her own landmines and get to leadership even faster. My second point goes out to our male allies. Gentlemen, as you know, women are strong, we are resilient, and we are capable. But in this fight for workplace equity, we want your voice and we want your help. A good example of this is Mark Benioff. He's the CEO of a huge company called Salesforce. He's poured millions of dollars into closing the wage gap within his company. He's taken it a step further and does not attend meetings unless 30% of those attending are women. For those of you that don't have millions of dollars, this still applies to you. If you see the inner workings of an old boys club, either on your team or the company you work for, call it out immediately. Bring more women into the fold and see your business grow exponentially. Now for my third point, let's piggyback on the Salesforce story. Do you know who brought this problem to Mark's attention? A woman named Cindy Robbins, President and Chief People Officer at Salesforce. Sometimes there's this fear that there can only be one of us at the top, that somehow being the only woman on a board or the only woman in a team meeting is this badge of honor. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I see it, instead of being a badge of honor, I see it as a sign of your power and a sign of an incredible opportunity to open the door and bring more women into the room. You have to remember that when you advocate for other women, it's not a handout, it is a yank up to change the culture that makes you feel like this is somehow a sign of pride and being a token is some badge of honor when it's not. My fourth and final point is for everyone. I want to encourage you not to wait. Summer 2017, I had the most incredible interns. These 3 young women came from different schools, and they immediately banded together, understanding that if they all did well, each one would walk away with an exquisite review, which I provided because they shared insider tips with each other for how to be the best possible versions of themselves in their exact roles and responsibilities. I share that because if 3 19-year-old undergrads can do it, everyone in this room can do the same thing. Remember that your story, where you are today, required resilience. It took grit. And there is a woman out there that has yet to navigate those landmines that wants to learn from you. You don't have to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Look at my parents. You can be 2 intelligent immigrants who understand that tough love and compassion build pathways to opportunity. Go out into the world today, share your voice, share your experience, and be an example of the proven power of mentorship. Thank you.